Hey there! Have you ever wondered who the youngest drivers to ever compete in a Formula One race are? Well, wonder no more, because we've got the rundown right here. Welcome back to our channel. It's hard to believe, but Formula One is increasingly becoming a young man's game. And yet, one particular driver on the list of the youngest ever drivers was even too young to vote when he first got behind the wheel of an F1 car. Today, we're going to take a closer look at the first 7 drivers on that list. All of these drivers made their mark on F1 history at a very young age, whether they were just starting out or already well known. So buckle up and get ready to meet the youngest ever drivers to compete in a Formula One race. 1. Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen is a name that's become synonymous with youth and talent in the world of Formula One. He burst onto the scene in 2015 as the youngest driver in F1 history at just 17 years, 5 months, and 15 days old, beating the previous record holder, Lance Stroll, by over a year. Verstappen's remarkable talent was noticed early on by Red Bull racing advisor Helmut Marko, who saw his potential and gave him a chance to shine. And boy, did he deliver! At his debut race in Melbourne, Verstappen qualified in 12th place and made a quick start, putting himself in a position to score points before his engine gave out on lap 34 of 58. But that was just the beginning for the young Dutchman. He made up for his bad race in Australia at the next race in Malaysia, where he got points and broke even more records as the youngest driver to do different things in F1 history. He went on to become the youngest driver to win a race, secure a podium finish, lead a lap, set the fastest lap, and even achieve a Grand Slam. While he didn't become the youngest world champion until 2022, he set several records along the way, including the most podium appearances, 18, and the most wins, 15, in a single season, 2022. Verstappen's talent and youth make him a force to be reckoned with in Formula One, and he's sure to keep breaking records and making history for years to come. 2. Lance Stroll. Number 2 on the list of youngest drivers to compete in a Formula One race is Lance Stroll, who made his F1 debut in 2017 at the age of 18 years, 4 months, and 26 days at the Australian Grand Prix. Stroll's rise to F1 was fueled in part by his family's financial backing, which helped him make the jump from Formula 3 straight to F1. He had already proven himself to be a formidable talent by winning the F3 title, but making the jump to F1 was a whole different ballgame. His debut race with Williams didn't quite go as planned, as he was forced to start from the rear of the grid due to a penalty, and eventually retired with a brake issue at around the halfway point. But he quickly bounced back, scoring 3 podium finishes in his first 8 races and showing that he had what it takes to compete at the highest level. Now, with his father's team, Aston Martin, behind him, Stroll's position in Formula One seems secure for the time being. But as with all things in this unpredictable sport, anything can happen, and only time will tell what the future holds for this young Canadian driver. 3. Jaime Alguersuari. Next on our list of the youngest ever drivers to compete in Formula One is Jaime Alguersuari, who was just 19 years, 4 months, and 3 days old when he won the Hungarian Grand Prix in 2009. Alguersuari's F1 debut came as a result of Sébastien Bourdais' departure from Toro Rosso, which opened the door for the young Spaniard to step in as his replacement. Before that, Alguersuari had been a reserve driver for both Red Bull and Toro Rosso in the Formula Renault 3.5 series, so he was certainly no stranger to the world of Formula One. At the Hungarian Grand Prix in 2009, Alguersuari was thrust into the spotlight when Felipe Massa got into a bad accident that left him seriously hurt. Starting from 19th place on the grid, he put in a solid performance to finish 15th, with his teammate Sébastien Bourdais being the only driver behind him. Despite showing promise during his time with Toro Rosso, Alguersuari's F1 career was short-lived, as he was released from the team in 2011. But that hasn't stopped him from pursuing his passions, as he has since reinvented himself as a DJ and carved out a successful career in the music industry. 4. Lando Norris. Let's talk about Lando Norris, the fresh-faced driver who made his Formula One debut at just 19 years, 4 months, and 4 days old in the 2019 Australian Grand Prix. Impressive, right? But this wasn't Norris' first time making waves in the Formula One world. Since 2012, he's been racking up titles every year, and even finished second in Formula 2 to George Russell in 2018. Fast forward to 2019, and McLaren took notice of Norris' talent and signed him on as their driver alongside Carlos Sainz. Norris qualified in 8th place for his debut in Australia, but ended up finishing 12th. But that was just the beginning. In 2020, he claimed his first F1 podium finish in Austria and went on to secure 5 more podiums throughout the season. Not bad for someone who's only just getting started. 5. Mike Thackwell. Let's take a trip down memory lane to the 1980 Canadian Grand Prix and the young Mike Thackwell. At just 19 years, 5 months, and 29 days old, Thackwell became one of the youngest drivers ever to compete in a Formula One race. As a test driver for Tyrrell and a racer in Formula 2, Thackwell was given the chance to drive alongside Jean-Pierre Jarier and Derek Daly at Montreal's Circuit Isle Notre Dame. However, luck was not on his side as he started the race in last place and was forced to retire at the first corner due to his teammates' accidents. Despite his unfortunate debut, Thackwell went on to race in F1 again in 1984, this time for the Ram team. However, he faced a similar fate as his turbo blew during the race, putting an end to his F1 career. But Thackwell's passion for Formula One didn't end there. He went on to have a successful career in other forms of racing, proving that sometimes, even if F1 doesn't work out, there are still plenty of opportunities to pursue your dreams. 6. Ricardo Rodriguez. Let me take you back to 1961, when a young Ricardo Rodriguez made his debut at the Italian Grand Prix. At just 19 years and 6 months old, the former motorcyclist had already shown impressive skills on the track, finishing second in the Le Mans 24 Hours. Rodriguez was invited to drive for Ferrari as a guest at Monza, and he didn't disappoint. Qualifying in second place and starting on the front row, he put up a great battle for the lead with eventual winner Phil Hill. Unfortunately, a fuel pump problem forced him to abandon the race, but he had certainly made a name for himself. Rodriguez's career was tragically cut short despite his promising start. He competed in 4 1962 World Championship races for Ferrari before losing his life during practice for his home event, a non-championship race. The young Mexican driver had committed to drive a Lotus for the Rob Walker racing team, but his life was cut short in a fatal crash. Even though Rodriguez only raced for a short time, he had a big impact on the world of Formula One. His natural talent and impressive skills behind the wheel were clear from the start, and he is still a well-liked figure in the racing world. 7. Fernando Alonso. Let's talk about a young and ambitious driver who, at only 19 years, 7 months and 4 days old, made history at the 2001 Australian Grand Prix. That's right, we're talking about none other than Fernando Alonso. Back in 1999, the Minardi team gave Argentine driver Esteban Tuero his shot at Formula One. But it was 3 years later, in 2001, that they introduced Alonso to the world. And what an introduction it was! After a successful year in 2000 as Minardi's test and reserve driver, Alonso was finally given the chance to race in the season opener in Australia. Starting from 19th on the grid, he managed to finish 12th despite a tragic incident that saw a marshal lose his life during the race. The following year, Alonso became a test driver for Renault, and although he didn't score any points, he caught the team's attention with his skills and potential. Finally, in 2003, Renault gave him a full-time ride, and the rest is history. Now, over 2 decades after his debut, Alonso has won 2 world championships and is still one of the most respected and admired drivers in the sport. And even at the age of 40, he's not slowing down anytime soon. He's now on his way to Aston Martin. So there you have it, a look at some of the youngest ever drivers to compete in Formula One. Thanks for watching.